Turns out Meteor is pretty good and fun to play. Always wanted to cook one up and now it's finally time. No mythic uniques yet, no high-end chase items, but we still tackle Torment 9 with relative ease. I will show you how to make this build pop, what to do to fix your mana even without gear, and how to scale your damage, how to build your Paragon board, and what skills to pick. Now the build is based around the Starfall Coronet, which allows us to consume Overpower we generate through other means to throw down multiple meteors. For this we pay no extra mana cost, however we still need to reduce the mana cost of our meteor in some capacity. And this will be no trouble, because we can actually regenerate enough mana through our gear. Currently we are running 21 mana regeneration. Once we spend a little bit more mana, we can get this one to a little bit more. During combat we are at 26 mana. So basically every second we regenerate enough mana to provide us with another cast of meteor. But that's not all. Because of our set, once we cast 15 times, doesn't matter if we just cast Meteor or use our teleport or cast our familiar or we use our ball lightning, all of those count towards the overheat mechanic. So every time we cast a pyromancy spell, we get 1 stack of overheat, which provides us with a 5% more damage boost. This provides us with additional damage reduction while healthy, and we get at 15 stacks 200% more damage, as well as a 20% chance to deal even more damage. But once the buff expires, we lose all our heat and have to repeat it. Now what's really neat is all our pyromancy skills are free. We enter this free casting state and we basically regenerate all our mana in this time frame. Now if you don't have enough mana regen on your gear, you can use an aspect, which is called Aspect of Elemental Acuity. As you can see, Pyromancy, Shock, and Frost spells grant 6 mana regen for 4 seconds. However, what if you don't have any mana regen on your gear? Well, we can have a look at the skill tree. Here is a spell, Familiar, that you can specialize to be a Pyromancy, Shock, and Frost skill, and this applies all 3 stacks of mana regen. Later on, we can combine this one with the Ring of Starless Skies, which we omit one aspect for, which is going to be the overpowered one, because we use our overpowered, so basically never are here, it's just for burst damage. So you set up your familiars, so now you have 4 stacks. Now you press the button and you summon a lot of meteors. So we don't have 100% uptime on this one, and we want to exchange it through that mythic. We have another unique here, which is enabling all the behavior I just explained. Meteor consumes overpower when possible to drop another meteor every 2 overpower, and it boosts our meteor damage. So what we want to line up is press 2 times your familiar, you pop your ultimate, and then you start blasting. Why is this possible? Because of the Armageddon aspect, I have a low roll one, so there is still a very high ceiling here. Also the staff is too great the FX1, but we have a low weapon damage roll, and we don't have a good multiplier on this one. We are looking at all damage multiplier, but we want crit damage multiplier. I also have crit strike chance on here, but I would rather have something with fire damage. Why? Because I don't have enough crit chance to make this one worth it without it. I just recently got the Azu Heirloom, and this one provides me with 13% crit chance bonus, but it's still not enough to reach 100%. Currently we are sitting at 75%. We have a +5 for our fire spells because of our Paragon board, so it's 80%, but we have a lot of crit damage. So all our crit damage you can basically multiply by 0.8 to get the real value we get out of the crit damage. There is one more thing I want to show you. Conjuration damage makes enemies vulnerable. That's why we have Familiar. We apply through Familiar, vulnerable to enemies. And because of our Paragon board, we are getting a more damage multiplier on this one. And we also get it to 80% more damage multiplier through this one and 20% through just the vulnerable application. So we get a lot of damage out of this one. Ultimate, and then you go to town and you deal the damage. Next up, let's have a look at abilities. We have our enchantment with Fireball. We get all the damage multipliers here, here, and here. Max out this Fireball spell, and that's about it. We never use it. We just have it as an enchantment, as you can see here. Next up, in the defensive tree, we use Teleport with Weaken to weaken enemies. That's going to be 20 to 10% less damage taken from them. And Teleport grants Ferocity for cast speed. Then we have Blaze. So Blaze allows Teleport to become a Pyromancy spell and consume Overpower. to refund its cooldown, so we can use it multiple times back to back. How this looks, I will show you right now. We use our familiar, now we have 4 stacks of Overpower, and now we can use our teleport multiple times. Once we are out of Overpower charges, we invoke the teleport cooldown. Then we have Ice Armor. Why not Flame Shield? Because Flame Shield only lasts for 1 second, which is not enough. And with Ice Armor, we get 5 seconds of basically our full life pool as a barrier. We get Unstoppable and 120% increased armor, and we get cooldown reduction, and we get more duration and barrier amount. So that's an amazing tool for our damage mitigation, which we are really in need of, because the Sorcerer is quite squishy if you don't invest into the right Paragon node. Then we have Familiar with the charge as well as duration bonus at 12 seconds duration. This one is going to apply quite a lot of vulnerable to enemies. And it's going to heal us because it restores health and provides us with 2 stacks of Overpower when we use it. Then we have Ball Lightning with Implosion. Implosion allows our Ball Lightning to be targeted on the ground, and everything that's around it will be sucked into the middle, just like with Inferno. So it's just for sucking up enemies and providing us a way to group them so we can throw our Meteor on them. Then we have our Meteor. We pick up Immobilize as well as Overpower and Shooting Star. So we immobilize enemies and we grant ourselves Overpower per enemy hit. This one also causes burning on enemies, which then procs our Fireball when enemies die. Now there is a small issue. Currently, our lightning ball is bugged, and when I put a point here, it disappears here. And when I put a point here, it disappears here. So yeah, I don't have any additional points here because I want both on Meteor. And lastly, we have Inferno. Inferno is going to provide us with a suction cup effect. We're going to pull enemies into the middle. We're going to reduce the cooldown to 12 seconds and provide us with a 30 mana cost, which is 22 currently for me. And we have a roughly 4-second uptime on this one. The burn is not the duration, just the visual effect is. So it constricts around 4 seconds, which enables Armageddon. So we have a hefty downtime on this one. We need a little bit more cooldown reduction. Then we have a better uptime on Inferno, better uptime on Armageddon, more damage, and then we start to pop off. Now for leveling, I would highly advise you to not use Meteor. You can utilize Charge Bolt with Burn Through until level 32, or just use my Spark build with Electric Blast, which is really, really good. So you get a quite high damage basic attack without any mana issues until 32 or 38. And then you can grab Static Field, which is nerfed, but it's still amazing. It's really, really good, really solid, and you can use it up to level 70 and then switch to this build. I would even advise you to go with like at least 40 Paragon points until you switch to this build, because it's requiring a little bit of gear and a little bit of setup to make it pop. Next up, Paragon board. I will make this one quick because there is not much to see here. So we get Destruction in the initial board, then we path to the Searing Heat board, which scales with our crit strike damage. We get enough crit strike damage through the tree. Here we get Pyromaniac. Then we pick up the Elemental Summoner board with the Adept Glyph. Next up is the Frigid Fate board, as well as Unleash. Frigid Fate is called Frigid Fate, but it's actually vulnerable damage. Then we have our last board, which is Enchantment Master, which is 40 times 2% more damage. And the enchantment potency is also here, 30%, which is really, really good, because this one also applies to our fireball explosions and the lucky hit chance. And lastly, we have Eliminator in the last board, because we cannot ever reach the willpower or the dexterity requirements here. So it's an easy more damage multiplier here. The board also provides you with a lot of defenses. All around the skill tree, I have not picked any. Only a little bit down here. Why? Because I wanted to push damage as far as possible, because it's easier to one-shot enemies than to prevent enemies from one-shotting you. So your best defense is damage. However, at some point, enemies become so tanky that you actually, and mechanics are also a thing, so you need a little bit of defenses. So you start around 160 Paragon points to get all those defense nodes all around the tree. There is quite a lot of them, which prevents you from getting one-shot. At first, you want to focus on just the legendary nodes, because the glyphs are not going to provide you with the additional legendary bonus. Those only apply after upgrading them to 51. So the additional bonus you unlock through the intelligence bonus and so on and so forth. But the legendary bonus, which provides you with more damage, is not applicable yet. So you get a lot more damage through just pathing to Frigid Fate. So in this case, I would path like this. Go up here, pick up Searing Heat, path down here, Elemental Summoner, all the way here, pick up Frigid Fate, all the way here, and then Enchantment Master. And once I have all of those, I would start to get all of those additional nodes, like Flame Touch. Now that's the Paragon mod. Now let's have a look at the gear. On your helmet, you want to look for mana regeneration. I had a lot of luck to find one of my first Starfall Coronet with mana regeneration here, so I could drop the additional aspect on my ring for damage aspect. But before that, if you are running Starfall Coronet as well as Asus Heirloom and don't have the aspect, you're going to run out of mana if you don't have additional mana regen on your helmet or on your boots. Just your chest is not enough. Where do you get Starfall Coronet? Now, Starfall Coronet you can get from the Ice Beast, and Asus Heirloom is a random drop, or you can find some really rare Nightmare Sigil that provides you with a way to get the boss that actually lets you target Asus Heirloom. So I got this one in Torment 9 through just a random drop in one of the chests in Helltide. I was lucky with this one, but it's not reflecting the power of this build because it's just 13% crit strike chance. I would still have 61 without it. Now regarding your other gear, your chest, mana regen, the rest defenses, maximum health, armor, intelligence, and some kind of resistance. My pants have a lot of armor, resistance, health, intelligence. Really important to get this one going. On your gloves, you want to prioritize crit strike chance as well as crit strike damage and intelligence. A little bit of attack speed is okay on your amulet, but I would highly prefer to have increased critical strike chance as well as crit strike damage more multiplier, intelligence, possibly even movement speed here to get even more from Asus Heirloom. Target is around 80 to 90. Then you have your rings. Resource cost reduction, really important here. You want to have it in both. I have enough here, so I replaced one of the resource cost reduction nodes here to get to 30 mana cost with cooldown reduction to lower the cooldown of Inferno to have more uptime on this one. But other than that, you can see intelligence, crit strike chance, crit strike damage, offensive nodes here. Now what about the tempers? Defensive tempers on your helmet. Here is armor, here is life, here is armor. Armor is universal. It increases damage reduction for all elements. Then on top of this, your resistance is applied and then reduce the damage even further. So you don't want to neglect those on your gear. On your amulet, you cannot go with crit strike chance. Here it's grayed out to weapons. So this one is only for your weapon. So you have to pick it on your weapon here. If you have enough crit strike chance through greater affixes and tempers and whatever, you don't actually need it on your weapon. You can switch it around for something else, like for example crit damage or fire damage. Now what about aspect? Shredding blades on your armor provides you with your conjuration, vulnerable application, as well as more damage through vulnerable targets. On your gloves, you have pyromancy skills deal more damage while you are healthy, so you want to top up your health all the time. On your pants, you want damage reduction. I'm using a two-handed weapon, so I can use the Heavenly Strength aspect. Really important, it's hard to get on a build like this, on a fire build, damage reduction, so it's really important to have this. You are not allowed to use a one-handed offhand. It's not possible. You are going to be too squishy. You have to use a two-handed weapon here. On your amulet, you want to use the combustion aspect for a more multiplier to crit damage on burning targets. Then you have your Crematus band, which I explained in the mechanics section. So you have to upkeep your empowers and then you deal more damage. Since you're also consuming Overpower, those are counterintuitive and you want to exchange this aspect for the Ring of Starless Skies because it's more consistent damage and you can actually drop a lot of resource cost reduction and mana regen on your gear, which is more defenses and more damage. Last one is the Captive Stone. So for this one, if a target is distant or immobilized, I get a more damage multiplier. I get it 2 times and they stack if the target is distant and immobilized. Our Meteor immobilizes the target, except for a boss. But for a boss, once you have the blue bar, you deal more damage. Basically, that's it. You have to stay away from the enemy. So for this one, you just teleport away and try to keep the enemy at bay to really make use of this. What about the runes? In my pants, I have Neoque for Earthen Bulwark. It's constantly spawning while I'm in combat. So you can see it loads up and now it applies. And the duration is roughly the same as the reapplication. And it's possible to get Earthen Bulwark to cover around 30% of your maximum health as barrier, so it's really, really good. You can combine it with your ice armor here to get 100%. And the second one is Pokgar for 10% crit strike chance. So in combat we have 10% additional crit strike chance, so we get to 90% even on this build currently. So we have 75 plus 10% here, plus 5% through the Paragon board. So we have 90% crit strike chance, and I nearly capped. So at this point, I could actually exchange the crit strike chance here for something else. Next up, your talismans. We're going to go with a Hordaric Seal with crit strike chance, pyro damage, fire damage. Alternatively, you can look for something with a +1 to charm slots. I don't know if it's possible to even roll. I haven't found one, but I see one is locked, so it's possible. Maybe. So you would unlock one additional charm slot so you can swap in one of your uniques. I have not decided on which one yet, but it's going to be one of the ones up here. Probably going to be the Starfall Coronet. I will put it into a unique charm and then put it into that slot. And then I can use another mythic unique to get more damage. But this one, as explained before, is really good for this build. And what you're going to do is you're going to fish for charms with plus to skill damage. I have 3 here, 3 here, 4 here. I don't have any here, but maximum life is also good. And mastery here. The best one is going to be skill levels plus movement speed, so you get more crit strike chance up until the cap. The second best is a defense modifier here, like maximum life plus the plus to skill. For your mercenaries, I have Subo. For the map pack, I get movement speed here, which is translating to additional crit strike chance and vulnerable application. And right here with some additional damage reduction. So it taunts enemies if I get crowd controlled. Lastly, I will show you how to actually obtain a gear. In the Hordaric Cube, you can use one of your talismans, for example this one, put it here, reroll the set. So you don't need to farm all that much. Once you have a set like this, you just farm an extra and then you reroll with the Infused Hordaric Resonance, which you obtain through salvaging all of those charms you can find. And then you can press the transmute button and the substats on this one as well as the actual charm. Now how about gear? Gear is a little bit more spicy. For this one I have prepared some here, like for example a ring. I can put the ring here, and as you can see here, I want to craft, for example, a resource cost reduction, crit and intelligence one. So for this one I add affixes with the consumables. Stat cost stat will apply always the intelligence modifier here. So that's one way to get the intelligence modifier. But you don't want to do this for the first one because this one is guaranteed to be intelligence. So what you're going to do is put in the aggressive one and then you're going to transmute here. I'm going to show you. This one has lightning damage multiplier. And now we just do a focused reroll until we find something we like. And once you get crit strike chance and crit strike damage, you just add the additional cost stat, which is intelligence, and then you can add resource tuning prism to always guarantee a resource modifier. In this case, that's going to be resource cost reduction or resource generation. You reroll as long as it needs to become resource cost reduction. Anyway, this sums up the guide. I hope you like this. I hope you can progress with this build now. If you have any questions, please comment down below, leave a like, leave a sub, and see you next time. Bye.